Hey there, folks. It's me, Chris, with the Gig Man's Life. Yeah, baby, it's a Gig Man's Life indeed. And of course, on this channel, we're all about the gig economy, freelancing, rideshare, delivery. Hey, whatever your hustle is, even if it is the 40-hour work week grind, if you're thinking of coming out here and making some money on the side, we love it if you do, because if you feel that you're up to it. But we're also going to let you know that there is a lot of dangers out here. The lack of training that these companies give is laughable in these matters. Them relying on the community to assist and help is not something that should be done, but that's also so that they can reduce their risk and liability. And of course, a lot of these stories that I'm referring to today are, and this is international on top of it, that this happens everywhere. And when you go out there, yes, it is risk to reward. Know your markets, know where you feel safe in doing things. Because although I only have about 4 years of doing the gig apps, I've done 20 years in security, 10 years in corporate security, being a security guard, and being a parts of patrols and investigations into matters because, believe it or not, we do that shit in corporate security, and sometimes you have to be the sore thumb and that person who catches people, because yes, I've catched over 30 people in my 10 years that have been terminated from the company for theft. And some were drug use. And these are people who were supervisors and, of course, management that got terminated for dubious things. And then I went into IT security, information technologies. If you're working it, you're always in security now because you have to watch for bad actors constantly. And there's always training and testing for just the general things that a lot of people aren't getting on these platforms that cause problems. But we're not talking about a lot of this as what's going on. We're talking about especially some of the things like this is in Australia, Melbourne. My sister lives in Melbourne, Florida, so my brain was kind of going screwy there for a moment, trying to pronounce this shit. But a screaming Uber driver beaten and stabbed by masked men outside Point Cook home. Now, this is one of the things that maybe not driving such a fancy car. There's a lot of variables in this of people attacking them. This could have been just for personal reasons. I've read through the story, and the first thing that points out meters, just yards from his own home. Once you say meters, that just gives the ghost up that you were talking. Ooh, okay. And of course, some of the blurred video surveillance footage, and they ran to a waiting car, so you never know what was going on. The trio seen in the vehicle. Police statement: the man was rushed to his wife and children, who found him covered in blood and stab wounds. I tried helping because of mom was distressed. The stepson said the victim had only recently moved to Australia from Canada and was still getting to know the area. He's really bubbly. He's always excited to do things. That's just the fluff piece. The police urge any. So, yeah, there's nothing. And of course, this is the guy going home. It wasn't him picking up anybody or anything. So it's just the fact that he was an Uber driver, yards from his house. I think they just threw in Uber to go and get people to read the article, which I will say to this point. But then again, this is one of the others where in Cleveland, Ohio, that the individual was attacked, and they did a maneuver, which is generally they distract you with somebody else arguing and fighting as they come up and blindside you. And this is where it's always good to make sure that, if it's an unsafe location, you shouldn't unlock your doors for shit. You shouldn't engage with anybody. If they're coming up to your car fighting, I would say fuck the customer. There is a section on both of these apps that say, why are you canceling this trip? Unsafe pickup location. I'm not blaming these drivers in what happened to them. I am just saying that in my personal opinion of doing corporate security and being trained actually in spotting this type of shit, you don't fucking engage in these matters, and you back off, wait for reinforcements, or get the hell out. And if it's an unsafe pickup location, that's what you put it down as, and when you're canceling it. But this is the worst one of them all, is an Uber Eats driver, and they're saying carjacked, fatally hit with his own car near the West Side Hospital. And all the reports, yes, after she has gotten arrested for doing this, she hit the guy. There is no cameras and nothing. Really, they're not saying what's going on, but this is where I can state quite clearly that there is laws against idling your vehicles. Yes, we do tend, when we're delivering, to leave a vehicle running because we believe it's a quick in and out, starting up, stopping the car, everything else. Yes, that does do more wear and tear on your vehicle. But leaving the car running leaves you at risk. And as I will always say, risk to reward. Getting yourself moving quickly again at the risk of somebody taking your vehicle. Then on top of this, possibly getting run over because you're concerned about your vehicle. You might have had, this is why if you're going to do this, you should only have what key is needed to run the vehicle in the ignition. If you're a keyless ignition, you shouldn't worry about the person taking the car as much as that they cause an accident. And you don't want to be the person in that accident. So you shouldn't worry or try to stop the person and put yourself in a dangerous situation. Especially when you know that you have other people relying on you. A vehicle is replaceable, and that's why it seems to me it wasn't a physical carjacking, as the person was opportunistic and got into the car. Because this is another thing, is that you should never be concerned about it. Also, you should pay for tracking. I use a Wi-Fi hotspot in the car that's well hidden, and that does track the vehicle on top of the tracker that was installed when the vehicle was purchased, because yes, loan companies do that nowadays, even on brand new cars, because they want to retrieve the car if they have to. So, what do we take away from this? The lack of training that these companies do could have prevented about 3 of these stories. I'd have to say, noticing that you shouldn't have your car running in questionable neighborhoods. That if you're in a neighborhood, don't unlock your vehicle. If people are coming up and being distractive, you can just say, hey, this is an unsafe pickup. These are things that happen, and you have to be aware. And that's why I don't really work at night anymore. I try to steer away from these things. And of course, I'm always telling people, look before you decide to get out here and do things, even if it is for some quick side money. It's best to make sure you understand what you're getting into. And of course, I got to get on to my hustle for the day. So I hope this was informative. This is not entertaining at all to hear these reports, but making sure that somebody understands before they get into something that they will regret. Not the factor that these platforms do any conflict training or anything, because they're all expecting to replace us with delivery bots and self-driving cars. It's not a thought to them that spending that money on doing this could eventually get them hurt, because unions and everything else are popping up now more than ever, and they're the big ones that are pushing a lot of changes in the rules. So I hope you enjoy this, and you have yourself a profitable day out there. Take it safe.